Graduated UCLA, degree in economics. Had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I wanted to be something to do with music because that always made me happy. But couldn't afford to be a starving musician. My dad had paid for way too much school. He would not have accepted that. He wouldn't have accepted being an intern at a record label. And when I graduated college in '82, unemployment amongst college graduates was running about 50%. The last Great Recession before this previous Great Recession. This security company in LA ran the Forum, it ran the Pacific and Irvine Meadows amphitheaters, ran the Universal Amphitheater. And so I started working, I was working in the daytime at an insurance company and started working security at night. And automatically they started giving me the better positions and the supervisor positions just because they knew me and they knew what I could do. And started running strong side and backstage at the Universal Amphitheater quite a bit. And one of the things you do every day is you do an advance with tour security guys. And then you find out how much they're making. And I was like, well, damn it, I'm bigger than him. I'm better at what I do. I need to do that. And at least, I saw that as a way into the industry. Now, in my rather deluded mind, I always thought that I'd work for an artist and we'd go out on the road and do that. Then he'd come back on the road, go in the studio, and I'd be able to hang out and kind of pick their brains and learn that side of things. Yeah, bodyguards go home, and they look for more work while the artist is in the studio. So, I've worked for a lot of really cool artists. Worked for Jimmy Buffett for 3 years. I had more fun those 3 years than anybody should have getting paid.
But anyway, discography of...
And Mark also worked for Jimmy Buffett. Like, the year I left, he decided to join. So we had kind of like missed each other by about 12 months on the...
How it all circles back around.
on the Buffett Road.
It does circle back around. Actually, I had my Buffett experiences as well at Don't Stop the Carnival.
Oh, yeah. Well, anybody in Miami has Jimmy experience.
In Coconut Grove Theater in Coral Gable, in Coconut Grove, Florida.
At that time, I was living in New Orleans, helping run Margaritaville in between tour dates. And his sound guy, Ross Ritto, did monitors for him. We had become friends, and Ross came down to Margaritaville, New Orleans, to redo our sound system for the bands that we'd have every night. And I'm sitting there asking him all these questions, and he's like, "You're asking a lot of crazy questions for a bouncer and a security guard. What's up?" And I started telling him, well, I've always wanted to get into music and sound. And he recommended this cat out in LA that he had hired 2 graduates from just recently, and they were able to hit the road and be on the road and be a good engineer right off the bat. No being in the shop for 2 years to prove yourself. Mm-hmm. He taught live audio, taught the speed, everything you needed to know to be a good live engineer, he taught.
But really my first job before the recording studio was doing live sound in the McCarthy Theater and a few other places around Miami. So I was one of the few people who actually did about 50-50 live and recording studio, even through the majority of my career up until really about 2005 when I left my recording studio in Aventura, Florida. Now, my earliest recording days were right around 1984-85, entering into Criteria Studios in Miami, which is now Hit Factory. And one of the first sessions I did as a runner, basically, as someone who's just a studio do-boy, was I'm No Angel with Greg Allman. Humbly, I say, I worked for Tom Dowd on 3 or 4 albums during the last years of his life, and he was one of the most famous producers of all times. And Tom and I spoke the same language, because by the time I'd met him, I'd already been in it for about 10 years. And I'd already taught I was teaching at the university level when I met him, and the man actually... he used to refer to me as professor. So a man who was a professor at Brown University used to call me professor, which was very, very humbling, let's put it that way, because he was a master.
The genius. Bob.
Yeah, well, he was a genius. I'm just someone who would really bask in the light of that genius. I stood on the shoulders of giants. It came around to the point where we all ended up converging together at this corporate live sound, I should say corporate production job, where we're all doing different functions, and that was where we all came to land. In fact, I think Mark said something interesting to me, because I had mentioned some things about my recording days, and he said, "Well, if you've done all that, why are you here?"